How are you doing, sir? Good, good, good. All right. Let's get things underway. Obviously, like you've come through before, this is your second interview with us. I greatly appreciate, you reaching out and your time and everything. Your people hit me up and said, hey, like your new record is coming out very soon at the end of the month. God, don't make mistakes. So we got to have a conversation about it. The last time we had a conversation, that was around the point where you released La Maquina. Obviously, to hear your insight on that was really great. And that record generally was, one of your better ones as well. But this new one coming up is going to be your Shady Debut, which, from what I'm hearing about it, is involving a lot more planning, a lot more larger, I guess, like industry input into kind of making sure everything's like just right about the album. So far, how has kind of the process of crafting this record kind of differed from any other album or project that you've done in the past?
The business side of things that, typically the fans don't get to, get privy to. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of that stuff, which, I'm learning as well, with this being my first, project being, released with a major label. It's just, it's new to me. I'm learning as I go. So, I never really knew like how much, stuff behind the scenes that it takes, and it goes into making an album and getting an album out, on a major. So it's definitely a learning experience. But as far as the music side, like creating it, it's the same approach with everything I do. I just, number one, try to just make sure that I have direction, like with the project, the titles and everything. Like it just can be a bunch of songs together on the song. This album, here's my album. Like everything gotta have direction. Then secondly, it just gotta be some of my best penmanship. I try to, I try to nail both of those things. So, but yeah, it's been a dope experience, a learning experience.
So in a way, creatively, it's felt like the pressure's a little bit more on than before.
No, not really.
I mean, with you saying what you said about like the penmanship stuff.
Well, yeah, the pressure not really on more because, like, I just like I'm in a good space. Like, you feel me? I could just like. I'm always confident, and it's nothing that there's no moment too big for me, if I should say, like, you know what I mean? Like, I expected to be at this point in my life at some time, and I prepared myself for it, like, by getting my skills to a point to where I was comfortable with coming with it. So all it was for me was just going in there and doing what I know to do. You know what I'm saying? As long as I do my part, everything else will work itself out.
With this being a major label project, has this allowed you any sort of like, connections or resources that maybe you've been able to get a little bit more ambitious on this record with, in terms of like connections you have with people or production features, concepts, any of that kind of thing?
Nah, this is all like everybody I worked with and everything that I'm doing and stuff has kind of been like, organically done. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've been working on this shit for like a year and a half, like 2 years. Like it's actually been done, not just been working on it. Like a lot of these songs I've had for like a while. It's just like, the business got to get done with the records when we trying to put them on a major. But, everybody I worked with and created with and all the resources, that I've got along the way, like shit, that's just organic shit that, you just fuck with me. People just fuck with me. And it's from the love I show. So when I come outside, I show love when I come around, you know what I'm saying? And, people just vibe with me and connect with me differently. And, it's always just been love with everybody that I work with, you know what I'm saying? On this album and all my albums has been just all, relationships and, resources that I built and I acquired through, me just being me, you know what I'm saying? Being around.
No, I mean, like, I definitely see that and observe that from the outside, like that widespread and organic like respect and understanding of what you and Griselda at large are doing and have done thus far. Like would you say it's that, or maybe something else that has brought you and Benny and Westside to a point where when I see you guys creating and when I see your output year to year, there's just like this incredible fluidity and freedom to like a lot of what you guys do in terms of like your artistic direction and what you drop. And, meanwhile, like conversely with a lot of younger acts, I see they're kind of locked into these ridiculous deals with the label where they can only put out like, one album a year, and it's like an album, but in order to like keep their numbers up, they have to put out these mixtapes, but they can't count the mixtapes as albums, and they have to wait until like next year to put out another album. And then, before you know it, you've spent 5 years with the label because they only let you like drop one project a year or something formally. Like, what has brought you and Griselda to the point where, again, you guys just like had this incredible creative freedom to just kind of like be totally in control of what you do and just be able to take your time with it and just have it be exactly how you want it?
Just learning and just knowing how to hustle. You know what I'm saying? Knowing how to navigate through the business. You know what I'm saying? As individuals and as a group, like together. You know what I'm saying? We just know how to hustle, and you know what I'm saying? And we sure of ourselves. We know what we want, what we trying to do, how we want to do it. You dig what I'm saying? We clear on that. And we just set this shit up to where, we always just want to be able to do what the fuck we want to do and how we want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the beauty of it, that we was able to do this shit the way we doing it. Because we do what we want to do and how we want to do it. And, we just keep it consistent. I think that shit work best for us. Like, even if, regardless of what, like, situation we're in and what business we're in with whatever or whoever, is like, it's best to just, leave well enough alone. Like, let us do what we've been doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't fuck that up. Don't disrupt that. You know what I'm saying? That's what it takes. Because when I think about it, every project is quality. It ain't like, you know what I'm saying, we putting, like everything we doing is quality. So it's like, let's not fuck up the momentum by like stifling us. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm a guy, if I'm at a label and I'm, and then I signed these artists, and if that's what they got to do to stay on fire, then let them in. I don't care if they drop 12 fucking mixtapes a year. As long as when they drop that album and it's still fire, like shit, what I'm tripping on, you know what I'm saying? Like let them. Sometimes you gotta let people do what they need to do to be the best that they can be. And for us, recording and being in the studio and working and actually putting it out, we knew that that's how we had to do to satisfy our fans, to even garner new fans. Like we're not coming, first of all, we kind of older than you know what I'm saying? And number two, like, we're not coming in here with like a bunch of, like catchy hook. We're not, we don't have those type of records that, that someone would deem as hits or
Right.
would successful. Like you hear, okay, yeah, that's a hit. We got such and such on it. They're Billboard charting top artists. This is number one. Like we don't have a bunch of those records, so I think we have to not oversaturate, but just flood it. Like we gotta open the floodgates, and I think that worked well for us. It might not work well for another artist or something. Some other artists might work better for him to have his mystique and just drop one project every 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? We never know. Everything, everybody, what works for them is different for everybody else. So I think that's what it is with us. We just do what the fuck we want to do, and it worked well for us. And I think labels and shit that fuck with us don't want to get in the way with all that. Like why mess? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm
saying? Could you give me some info on maybe like a track or two on this album that's about to drop that you feel like you're excited personally, like for the fans to hear? Like it came out so good, like you can't wait to see what the reaction is, or you think that like, it's going to be like a real Griselda favorite once it's out?
Probably like, I would say, The title track, God Don't Make Mistakes.
Mm.
It's towards the end of the album, produced by Alchemist. And I got my mom on there. I got my mother on there at the end. You know, she's featured on the song. And I don't know, it's just really, you know, it's an incredible song. I was just in a space where I just was, you know, I had so many uncertainties, you know, floating around in my head, so many what ifs,
Hmm.
so many, you know, self doubts and so much other stuff. And, uh, you know, it just came out. I just like kind of, you know, went in the booth and it came out like that, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's an incredible record that I can't wait for. Like my fans, like that's been, you know, fucking with me since, you know, the beginning, the Reject 2 days and stuff, to hear this particular record. I think they're gonna love it. And I would probably have to say uh the record I don't know, man, so many on there, man. I'll probably have to say So Much More with Justice League, produced that one.
Nice.
And I think it's you know what I'm saying, some stuff on there that really, you know, drive home some of the feelings I be having when I'm at you know, when I'm dealing with, you know, a depressing state of mind and stuff. Uh this this is like me putting that shit in the rhyme form, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm. You talk about
Yeah.
like the mindset on that track and like the emotions of the song you were kind of feeling that, you know, your mother's featured on too.
Yeah.
Would you say this album overall, this new record, would you say this record has like a mindset to it? And, you know, if it does, was that something that was difficult to kind of keep consistent given you've been working on it for such a long time?
Yeah, like yeah, that was the mind. I had a mind state of my like my mentality when going into it was just pretty much. I just wanted to be kind of transparent and just give people like kind of my story and talk about me more. Like a lot of you know a lot of my works, a lot of my projects and stuff, and you know it's mostly talking about like you know what I've seen and what you know people in my neighborhood do, the young boys and all that stuff. Like my young boy pull up, do this, do that. You know what I'm saying? And my homie did this, my man did that. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like I just wanted to kind of, with this being my debut, especially on a major, like I just wanted to kind of, I wanted to give people me. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be kind of transparent and open up more. And that was a challenge in itself because I'm kind of like a reserved kind of person. Like I don't really let people in. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so for me to even be this open and you know this willing to you know paint these pictures that I'm painting of the things that I go through on a daily, you know, mentally stuff I've seen, you know, everything is like you know it's applaudable. You know what I'm saying to everybody close to me that know me personally. You know, just seeing me do that and hearing the music and stuff is really like it mean a lot to them that I'm even taking it there and doing that type of shit. So you know, it was something that I wanted to you know start doing. I was conscious of like I want to start just telling my story more and just get more in depth about just me, the things that I deal with on a day to day or I've dealt with in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did a good job of that on this.
Would would you say for this record that it, in terms of this stuff that you're kind of diving into on a more personal, you know, theme,
Yeah.
you know, for this record, were these kind of barriers you had to break through in order to be able to, you know, have the power to kind of share what you're sharing on this LP, or were maybe you just kind of waiting for the right time to tell it?
It was kind of both. You know what I'm saying? I had to, you know, get to a comfortable space to, you know, even want to talk about a lot of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Especially to, you know, essentially strangers. Like I don't, you know, people don't know me personally, like fans all around the world. So it's like, you know, having a therapy session with total strangers kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, but so it took a lot for me to do that, but also, it's kind of both sides of what you're saying.
You know, as far as like features, the creative process, production on the album. I know that like through the years of experience that you and Griselda have built up and, you know, kind of like that widespread industry respect that you were talking about earlier, there's almost like, you know, from what the fans know, like a roster of artists and producers out there currently that, you know, you guys historically have just like felt very comfortable working with on a pretty consistent basis. But like with this new record, were there a lot of new connections that you made or had to make in order to maybe try something new or make some of these tracks, you know, complete?
I linked with Bank for the first time. That was somebody that I wanted to work with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I love his sound. Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that Justice League shit. I always wanted to work with that. Like just stuff that I know that can kind of help me open that, you know, that box of, you know, tap into those feelings and into those memories and the stuff that I, you know, to unbottle the shit that I kept bottled in, to unpack. I needed the right canvas to paint those kind of pictures. So those are some of the guys that I needed, you know what I'm saying, to do that. Of course, Danger, Alchemist, you know, I definitely can't do nothing without my brother.
Right.
But Cosmo, you know what I'm saying, I linked with him, you know, shout out my brother Burner out west. You know, he passed me in with Cosmo Beats, and, you know, he's an incredible producer. He produced the record with me, Joe Scott, and he produced the one with me, Lil Wayne and Rick Ross. And, you know, these were just all canvases that I definitely felt I needed to tell this, to paint this picture and tell this story.
And, you know, as far as like stuff that's older and reliable at this point, like, you know, what would you say is kind of currently like, you know, the vibe in terms of like the chemistry that obviously, you know, you and Westside and Benny are maintaining at this point? Like, you know, the recent track that you guys that you dropped, you know, sounds just as grimy as anything that you've ever put out. Like, you know, like to what do you attribute that consistency? And like, you know, at this point, does it still feel as the energy that you guys kind of create together? Is it still as kinetic as it's been?
Yeah, that shit ain't going to never cease. You know what I'm saying? We, you know, the beauty of it is we was able to, you know, go on this journey together. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about when we was like kids type shit. You feel what I'm saying? Mm. So it's like, you know, it's dope. Like we always gonna have that real chemistry that, you know, that shit is like tying our shoes at this point.
Nice. You know, I remember during our last conversation, I had a few questions about you about just like, you know, hip hop current day generally. I wanted to ask you, just like fresh off of this very much talked about Super Bowl performance that just happened, where it was just like nothing but just rap classics from beginning to end. Yeah. Like, you know, if culturally for it to have that kind of stage and that kind of exposure and that kind of validity, you know, does that mean anything to you at this point personally as an artist and somebody who's been engulfed, just like ingrained in the culture for so long? Or does it just kind of, you know, is it just kind of a stage show for you?
Yeah, no, it's dope for the culture. You know what I'm saying? It's good. Good to see, man, how far, hip hop has came. You know, hip hop has come a long way. You know what I'm saying? So it was dope for the culture.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those tracks that we're playing are, I don't know, in a way like, you know, my and a lot of other people's, like, you know, my and like Gen X's generations, like oldies, you know, at this point, it's kind of like reaching that point.
Right. Facts. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was important for us to, you know, see us being celebrated, you know, at that level, you know, at the highest level. You know, it ain't really been a lot of hip hop acts in the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying, to perform at the halftime show. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, you know, that shit was dope for the culture. It was dope to see, you know what I'm saying, to see 50 and Kendrick and Dre and them up there, man, doing their shit. Snoop, you know, the Queen Mary, you know, that was, you know, that was one for the books right there.
I mean, you know, as of right now, like generally creatively, what you see out there happening in the genre as a whole and just the industry, do you think things are like pretty healthy right now?
I mean, what do you mean? Like
In terms of
healthy,
like just the output, do you feel like,
where it's going?
yeah, not even where it's going, but like, I mean,
I mean,
obviously,
like,
go on.
no, I'm just saying. I think I've been hearing a lot of fire. You
Hmm.
know, I've been hearing a lot of fire coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I enjoy the music that's been coming out, man. From even some of the younger guys and some of even our OGs and stuff that been doing this for a while. So I'm enjoying it, and the money is at its best it's ever been. You know, the opportunities is best as ever been. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like we in an era right now. We in a place right now where in hip hop where it's one of the you gotta say one of the best eras. You know what I'm saying? So many guys is you know just like having success on like Billboard charts and what I'm saying? Like look at the last 2 years, the hip hop album Grammy nominations. You got, guys like Nas, like, what I'm saying? Nas was never getting winning Grammys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Royce and D Smoke and stuff like that. It's like so I think hip hop in a great space because we finally able to get the kind of money, artists is able to get the kind of money that, artists, 20 years ago, 30 years ago never was getting, never was able to because, we didn't have nobody, uh teaching us, the literacy, like educating us on like how to navigate in the offices and, how to structure deals and contracts and stuff and, protect your art. We didn't know that. And now with the tools that's provided in this day and age, what I'm saying, with the internet and the socials and, you know, all that type of shit, like, you able to really kind of, put your art out the way you want to put it out, sell it how you want to sell it, and most importantly, own your art. You know what I'm saying? And it's I think we in a beautiful time right now.
And and
Very healthy.
specifically with Nas, like he's kind of going through artistically like a renaissance right now. Like the last King's Disease record was fucking killer, and
Yeah,
even that short little thing that him and Hit Boy did on the Magic thing was really good.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like it's an inspirational space we have right now because we able to own shit now. We able to own our own shit. We able to learn and collaborate and like I'm saying, like hip hop. There was a time where guys don't fuck with who they fuck with. Like nobody saw, like for example, nobody saw like a Nas and Hit Boy linking up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We used to like Nas and Primo and Nas and Large Professor and Pete Rock, shit like that. Like you see what I'm saying? We in a beautiful space where we able to, just collab and we just got the freedom to do what we want to do the kind of music we want to do, how we want to do it, and, deliver it to the people the way, whatever, we see fit. And that's the beauty of it because these are freedoms that I know some of our icons and legends wish they had 30 years ago, 20, you know what I'm saying, when they was doing this shit and paving the way for artists like myself. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, one last thing I'll say, what you said about Hit Boy there kind of reminded me of the fact that like it's funny that you had to remind me this because like obviously I was witnessing it.
Yeah.
When a lot of these younger artists and Hit Boy being one of them were coming up during this internet era, it was just so much weirdly like hostility and just like tension between older dudes, younger rappers, and younger producers, and there was just like almost like this miscommunication in terms of like whether or not any of the new stuff is valid. Are you tributing? Are you respecting the old stuff or the old artists in the way that you should? You'd have younger artists like casually for attention in interviews just being like, "Fuck Biggie, fuck Pac, fuck this, fuck that." But it sort of seems like we've kind of moved past a lot of that, and there's a lot more just sort of like intergenerational understanding now, and everybody's just kind of just letting everybody do their thing.
Right, because again, a lot of those frustrations, I think personally, like my opinion, it come from, man, it's tough, man, when coming up in the '90s and stuff, and when people consider the golden age and the golden era, like the that era where you had to be you know, that got like, you know, we come from a space to where like whack MCs was frowned down on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not frowned on, but like, yo, we put so much into like making sure our pen was incredible, you know what I'm saying? That we didn't focus more on the business side of things. And it's like now, you know, you gotta think, man, it's just I feel like, man, you know, we just got the freedom to kind of navigate through all this shit. And I think a lot of those frustrations when, you know, you got, you know, dudes from the older dude, like, that ain't hip hop, that ain't hip hop. I think it's just because of how successful, you know, some of these younger artists are when they come out one or two songs and they like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like super successful. They're breaking records, streaming records, YouTube views. And it's like, what the fuck? And it's frustrating. Like, man, I've been doing this shit for 20, 30 years. Like, and my best record ain't got, I don't know, because we didn't see this coming and we didn't prepare ourselves and learn how to hustle and how to navigate through everything to where we can still coexist. So a lot of that shit comes from frustration. You know what I mean? There's guys from, you know, the 20 and 30 years ago, you ain't never heard them say that or nothing because they were successful. They did theirs. Their paperwork was right. They got their money. You know what I'm saying? You know, they ain't tripping. They enjoying it. Like, man, shout out to them young dudes doing their thing, moving their mama out the hood and you know what I'm saying, keeping themselves out of trouble. And, you know, who knows what, you know, what niggas could be doing. You know what I'm saying? But shit, they figured out a way to make it in a time where, you know, hip hop was based on being like super lyrical. You had to be like this incredible lyricist. Like I said, you had to be this incredible rapper to even exist. Or like rappers is dissing you, you ain't getting no spells. Like you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, they figured out a way to navigate and still make great music that, you know, that's impactful to their generation. You know what I'm saying? They're not, and I think that's dope. You know what I'm saying? We can't just focus on, you know what I'm saying, the way things were. We got to evolve as people. You know what I'm saying? We talking right now, doing this interview on Zoom, like on, you know what I'm saying, on a laptop, looking at each other. You know what I'm saying, with an earpiece, and like, what if we just was so, you know what I mean, just so stuck in back in the day, and it was just like the big gray computer we was playing Snake on and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to accept evolution. I think as you know, just not only as people but as artists in this hip hop shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, the money is at it. You know, is unbelievable. You know, and I think that's the dope part of it because at the end of the day, we are gonna get older, have kids, have grandkids, and now we can be proud that we have something, this $1 billion, $1 trillion industry that is simple as a click of a mouse for, you know, they can change their lives and potentially stay out of trouble and stay out of jail, stay out of the grave by 21. You know what I'm saying? And all those you know, stereotypes and stigmas that's placed on young black men or young minorities, like shit, nigga, we got a chance. So I think it's dope. You know what I'm saying?
You know
But
what?
I think that argument with the old heads and the young heads come from like shit. Niggas frustrated that they wasn't getting that bag like these young dudes is now. You know what I'm saying? And they like, man, and they not rapping as good as me. They're not even trying. They don't even care. But they said they don't even listen to old music, old rap. Like they would. I don't know nobody my age that listens to like, you know, fucking the Temptations right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't, and that was incredible music. Like we're not listening to Jackson 5.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, just like niggas weren't trying to listen to NWA. Like my grandmother and I used to be mad as hell when I'm playing, you know what I'm saying, Easy E shit, Dr. Dre. Like, you know what I'm saying? Turn that shit on. They want to listen to their era, Marvin Gaye, da da da. It's like that for us. We want to listen to our shit, man. Turn that Wu-Tang on, that Mobb Deep. Turn that Nas on. We don't want to hear no, you know what I'm saying? But shit, it's some kids that's like, man, I don't want to hear that old shit. Let me hear that motherfucker Uzi verse. Let me hear that little dirt.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
we're all still listening to Still Dre though.
Oh yeah,
That's
definitely,
it's timeless.
definitely. Yeah, that shit is timeless.
All right, one more thing. I want to ask you one more thing before one more piece of sage perspective from you.
Yeah.
You know, off of what you were just talking about. I mean, I think the beauty of the current paradigm and generation is that everybody sort of has the room to do anything that they want as long as it's good. You were talking about lyrics and stuff. Like, obviously, in the Griselda verse, like, bars matter. And you're talking about how sort of that being almost in a way like an impact point of the past. Generally speaking, in terms of like what's popular now, what's mainstream now in rap, like where do you think the impact points are currently? Like, if it's not lyrics, in your view, like, what is it? Is it really more of a vibe? Is it just kind of a sound? Is it an energy? Is it?
It's that bag. You know what I'm saying? It's that bag. Like, artists today that's coming out and stuff, they realize and they understand that, what they can potentially do in this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where they got the kind of the advantage kind of. We, the older, and I could be wrong, you know what I'm saying? It's just from my opinion. I feel like, the older generation and, the music of the past and the shit that we love, I think we was more concerned of like our pen, like making sure that we had, a certain sound and a certain griminess and gutterness. It was called keeping it hip, man, keeping that shit hip hop. I'm keeping that shit real, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like we didn't focus on business side of it too. It was these labels heads and stuff that was way ahead of the curve that understood and focused on that. And that's why you got so many of the older guys that's just disgruntled and shit about their paperwork of the past and how it wasn't in their favor. Because, that wasn't a point of emphasis. That wasn't, something that you said I needed to tackle, you know what I mean? And I think that's the total opposite with this generation. Like, these dudes now, man, it's real. They hustling, they cunning, you know what I'm saying? So that's why they can go and get fucking 100,000 for a show with one single out and get, you know what I'm saying, these deals and, have all these extravagant purchases and, 25 chains on that's like, with flawless diamonds and every Lamborghini truck and shit, because they putting that bag first, aka putting the business first. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I think that needed the mentality needed to change, and it did, I think. So that's where these youngsters at, man. We having fun with it, and we about our business. We was so busy being mad and just hating on the person. Like, I'm the best, diss rap, battle rap, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? That we didn't, focus on, the money. The money. This is $1 trillion industry now, $2 billion industry now. It's like, it's enough for everybody. And, this generation of artists, they understand that, they get that. You know what I'm saying? So they collab with everybody, they work with everybody, they show love, you know what I mean? They get money together, and it's, it's fun. They having fun.
One more thing while we're on this topic, because, I was recently kind of reflecting on this because I was watching somebody who was doing like this really long video piece on this exact topic, kind of talking about how not only during like this 90s era was there kind of this emphasis on things artistically being a certain way, but on top of it, culturally, you had like these gatekeepers who were working almost as like mediators between the greater music scene and the artists and the labels, making sure that like whenever an artist made it to a label, that they were like, quote unquote hip hop, and they were going to do the culture a favor, and they were going to, sort of like represent it in a certain way, in a proper way. Guys like Dame Dash or Jay Prince, and there's a whole lot more that you can name. Who were usually like local to certain scenes and would usually be like, the gatekeeper that would pass somebody through, like the way that Dr. Dre did for The Game back in the day. And, there's a lot of examples, but, the internet has pretty much like totally smashed that apparatus to pieces. Like, there's no more gatekeepers anymore, So, I mean, with like hip hop becoming so commodified and exposed and passed around and like, monetized on every single platform that's out there, and anybody who wants to participate just can at the, click of a button. Like, do you feel like there's any kind of like, I mean, we know the positives, but do you think there's been any sort of like cultural control lost in kind of the pulling apart of that old system that used to, I mean, it's brought hip hop this far, but it sort of seems like we're kind of operating without those training wheels anymore.
Yeah, I think it is. It's the downside of it is exactly everything you said. We kind of lose that, that cultural control, like, you know what I'm saying? Because when you base everything on a dollar, like, you know what I'm saying? On monetary things, like, shit, that's what you're asking for. And you know what I'm saying? And you get, even some of the gatekeepers, put their integrity to the side for that bag. It just becomes, a slippery slope, because it's like, it's money that nobody never even fathomed that they would ever be able to attain. Like, shit, I ain't know I would ever be able to get no 100 million, 300 million, no $1 billion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And when somebody knows, like, you'll do anything for money, then, shit, you controlled by the motherfucker with the most money. Like, shit, how much you want to do it? You take $1 million? Take 100 million? Would you take $1 billion? Okay. So, you know what I mean? And it's not to them, because shit, they rich. And that's how you lose your gatekeepers. You lose the emphasis of, like, keeping this shit, the culture intact, and keeping all that. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Everybody is just looking at it from a business aspect. Like, I gotta eat. Shit, this should change in my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? And lives around me type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it really ain't the love element is kind of out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shit, I need that bag. Fuck that hip hop shit. Shit, you know what I mean? I need that money. Like, you feel me? And even the most hip hop heads gonna take that bag, or gonna take that bag. You know what I'm saying? They've done it. Like, shit, I ain't about to. What I'm gonna do? Live in the projects and, you know what I'm saying? Be broke and shit forever, or I'm gonna take, man, shit. I'm gonna take this bag to play like some of our favorite DJs growing up. You know what I'm saying? That's from back then and all that. But then you see, like, they don't even try to break artists or play artists and that, because, man, they want that bag. Like, I'm gonna play this shit that you people, they gonna, I gotta stay relevant. You know what I'm saying? I got a family. I gotta eat. Shit, I gotta play what's hot. This shit got 100 million streams. This shit got, you know what I'm saying? This is what they want. This shit, that's what they want to hear. Let me play this. Not the guy. So that's where, what's what the downside of that is, the negatives. Like you said, we know the positive. The negatives of it is, it becomes popularity over talent. Right? You don't have to be this super lyrical, talented, guy who studied all the greats and just know hip hop and just live and breathe and eat and sleep and shit hip hop. You could just be somebody who just got you're a thinking man. You knew how to play chess. You knew how to, like, man, let me get me some money out of this rap shit, man, real quick. This ain't my dream or my passion or nothing, but shit, I know how to make me a couple dollars, a little catchy hook. I'm rich. You know what I'm saying? So it turned into that, like, popularity over talent. And that sucks.
No, I agree with what you're saying, and this will be like the last opinion I throw out there, but I feel like, with hip hop being so incredibly online for over the past 10 years and, sort of like seeing this cycle that we've been experiencing, like the upside to that, or I guess like the great denominator, the word I'm looking for is kind of escaping me, but like, the equalizer in this situation is that those people who you're talking about, this is hot. Yeah. Let's play this. It's popularity over talent. Like, all those people tend to be around for maybe a year or two, while anybody who's actually got something to their craft tends to stay. So it's like,
Right. See?
and anybody who's actually, so, I get that at first it was maybe kind of like there was a fear element to it because, like, how long is this going to be popular? How long is this going to be popular? How long is there going to be this kind of, uneasy thing? Well, you can only be hot being the newest, youngest guy for so long. Eventually there comes a time where the people who are actually putting effort into what they do, they outlive you.
Right. And you're 100% right about that. And that's again, that's the power of hip hop. And that's the power of just having integrity and believing in yourself and confidence in what you bring to the table, right? But, those guys that who, you saying like, gonna be here for, they usually tend to be around a year or two, have a summer, hot summer, a good run, and they gone. But those guys, they totally okay with that because they didn't get into this shit to be
Right.
the
It's still
next
something.
big thing. Like, man, I came to just get this bag and get and do something else. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then, what that do on the flip side is like that develops, discouragement and shit and self doubt and all that shit into the minds of those people who work hard on, sharpening their talents and stuff. It's like, man, I'm doing all this. Well, little such and such that this motherfucker just came in one album. He Billboard Grammy nominated #1 for 52 weeks, saying, saying some silly shit. And I'm here practicing and going hard and actually putting thought in my raps and shit. That shit. So it develops discouragement. So, that guy that, he don't really understand that, the guy with the integrity who's standing on his 10 toes down, we usually outlad, you going to stand the test of time. You good. You're going to survive that. But they don't know. They end up quitting too soon. And you're just not, just saying fuck it too soon because they discouraged by watching the guy who I'm happy and totally okay with coming for a year long. I'm about to make these millions of dip. I don't care what y'all say about me. Like, so it's like, it sucks. It's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But that's my message to like, bro, don't give up too soon sometimes. Like, you might give up right when your shit about to break, right when your shit about to pop. You gave up doing the flag because you discouraged about what everybody else doing. Like, you need to just stick to what you do and you'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? You just it's a patient man game, thinking man's game.
Right. I mean, you and Benny and Westside were all doing it for years. And now
Yeah,
Griselda's one of the hottest things out there.
100%. We did it our way. And that's the beauty of it. That's why it's been around so long and it's only getting stronger and stronger. You know what I'm saying? We did it our way. We did it like us. And that's the thing that's abnormal to people, really. We not doing nothing no different than what some of our favorite rappers was doing in the 90s or the 2000s, you know what I'm saying? But what we doing is our way. That's foreign to this in this day of time. Like, everybody just try to follow a trend and do what's hot so they can sell and get money, you know what I'm saying? And get the bag. But we just want to make great quality hip hop. I think that's what made us stand out.
Man, I appreciate you coming through again for a conversation and
absolutely
giving us some insight and just teasing us a little bit about the new LP that we're all going to be listening to as soon as it's out.
Yes, sir. God don't make mistakes, man. That shit coming out, man, on the 25th, February 25th. So I'm excited for the fans to hear that, man, for real.
Well, again, thank you very much, and have a good rest of your night. And we're looking forward to the album.
All right, man. Salute. Thank you.